Ah, non tan bueno como tuyo.
Oh, ¿por qué no? No practicas todos los días.
Porque, sí, no, pero hablo mucho más que yo, ¿no? Estás viviendo en Argentina.
Ah, pero vivís ahí, puedes practicar también.
No idea
Are
what
you
this
in
man
Buenos
just said.
Aires, Gus?
Yeah, almost a
Oh,
year now.
cool. Yeah, my Spanish is bad, actually. Because I work in English, guys. So when you come here to Spain, uh, essentially, if you come as an engineer, most of the time you're gonna work with English. So you don't have like say, let's say, too much time to learn Spanish. Um, unless you are someone like not so lazy as me and go out, and do some stuff and speak with people, then you learn.
I don't know if they have this event in Barcelona. It's called Mundo Lingo. Have you heard of it?
No, not really.
Mundo Lingo is an event that started here in Buenos Aires, and they meet every night from Tuesday to Friday at a bar, a different bar every day, and then they have flags that you put on your chest representing the countries that I mean, the languages that you speak, and then you speak to people in those languages. You know, it's quite fun. I used to go like a lot when I got here, and it's a great place to practice languages because people won't judge you, and they know you're there to practice languages, and also you're drunk, so it helps.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Um, I have been actually to a few here, but I didn't know it was called Mundolingo. It was just like some random person sent me a message like, "Hey, there's this group that people that speak different languages go, and you want to join." And people, I think there are quite a few initiatives like that, and it's
Yeah, yeah,
interesting. I learned a
yeah.
little bit of Italian, for instance, but just 2 words or three,
Mm.
and it's interesting. I think you guys could do something on San Luis as well. Like there
Yes,
are, yeah,
we do already actually. It just has to grow now. It's called Infusion. It's a meeting that happens every month. But just practice English. I do want to expand it though to include other languages.
yeah.
So, guys, do you have any questions for Lucas regarding his technical side of his life, or family side, or the intricacies of getting a job abroad and moving? Daniel has a question.
First of all, it's a pleasure meeting you, uh, Lucas, and it's nice to know that Giga member already got the first opportunity, international opportunity. And I would like to know a bit about your process. How did you apply to the jobs? How was the interviews, and how did you get that?
Oh yeah, it's a very good question. Pleasure to meet you, Daniel. Uh, and yeah, it's great to be here. Um, so it's a long story, let's say, but I will try to explain in a few terms. Actually, I think Gus helped me as well. Do you remember, Gus, when I had some offers? I came with Gus and we discussed a little bit like, hey, Gus, do you think I should accept this one or the other one?
He
And
had a great problem, like, oh, Portugal or Barcelona. I was like, it's a great problem to
yeah.
have.
So it's actually, Daniel, um, I started applying on through LinkedIn, actually. So I think it's the standard process. You go applying. And of course, I think before you start to apply, you need to like build up your CV very well, like because usually these kind of opportunities where they are sponsoring the visa and this kind of things, there are a lot of people that are applying. Don't be afraid, actually, because we are very good. Actually, Brazilians, we are known to be very good on software development, and I think one of the best engineers I ever met. They are all kind of from our nation, like Brazil. So you need to have a good CV in shape. The English, I don't think you need a very good English. Essentially, that's a misunderstanding that I think we tend to have. Like I need to have like native English. I think your level of English it's really good. Like you just need to be able to communicate. That's the important thing. and that's what Gus teach me a lot. Like losing the fear of speaking and communicating, and you need to be able to feel confident while speaking. Sometimes, I mean, some things you might not know how to speak properly, but if you can kind of express yourself on different ways, that's what's required. So yeah, I applied to lots of companies. Like I don't even remember how much it was. And then I started the interview process. The interview process depends a lot on company to company. There are some companies that they go through the American process, that is like doing lead code and this kind of things. So you need to have a very good basis of like algorithm and stuff. There are like I don't know on the Giga Club if you guys are talking about this kind of things, but there are some things you can like. There are lots of content over there about algorithms and this kind of things, how you can do the interviews. So this kind of companies that do like the lead code interview. But there are some others as well. The company got the offer for Spain. I also got one on Germany. They didn't ask me for lead code. This one, the one I am on a different company now, but the one that bring me here was they didn't use lead code. It was mainly like a project. Depends on the area that you work on, right? Like for me, I'm mainly focused on backend. So they asked me like a home project, like to do something like the same thing as we do in Brazil, but in English. That's the difference actually. So um, if you want to know some detail, let me know. I can maybe like explain a little bit better as well.
Could you share your stack with us?
Yeah. So my stack is Node. I code on Go, the good JavaScript. Yeah, and TypeScript as well. But I know a little bit of Java, and I think the market is. I mean, I think there are opportunities for lots of languages. There are companies hiring for C#. There are companies hiring for JavaScript. There are companies hiring for Java. Depending on the country, you're gonna see a little bit more language than others. Like in Spain, it's full of Java. I don't know why. Like there are a lot. I think it's because in Spain there is a lot of consultancy companies, and the enterprise world here is kind of Java. So you're gonna see a lot of Java things. On the startup side, you're gonna see a lot of people with Node. Sometimes even Ruby. Ruby is a language that I don't see much in Brazil, but you see a lot here, especially on Barcelona. I think there are a few unicorn startups that they use Ruby, Golang as well, and etc.
Yeah. Ivo has a question for you, but I think Leonardo also has one. Leonardo, can you raise your hand and then you ask your question yourself, just so we keep track of the sequence here. So Ivo.
Ivo first. Okay. Thanks. Hi, Lucas.
Hello, Ivo.
How does the Spanish or European handle work? It's very different from Brazil.
Yeah, it's very different. So the first shock I had when I came here was to realize that we tend to work a lot in Brazil. Like, I was working on a company that I learned a lot in Brazil. And when I compare the pace I had to the pace I used to have here, it's completely different. Spanish, especially, let's say the western part of Europe, like the Spanish people, they are known for that. Like that is kind of it's not true, let's say, but it's also true in the sense that it's a little bit more slow. Like there is no thing to deliver for tomorrow. Like usually you go like more slowly. Depends on the company you work for, but in general, it's more like of a work-life balance. So, for instance, usually if you go to Europe, you are not looking forward to receive a lot of money, right? Because I mean, if you go to Germany, maybe you're gonna have a bigger salary, or in general, I'm talking about the average. Or if you go to Sweden, but Sweden, I think. Yeah, so I think they have good salary. UK is not part of Europe anymore, kind of, but as well. But in the sense that if you decide to move to Europe, I would say you need to take in consideration the work-life balance, like you're gonna have like a more chill environment kind of, and like being able to travel and etc. But yeah.
I see, I see. Thanks.
Leonardo?
How many interviews you did to get your first opportunity?
Yeah. So that's a very good question. I changed jobs actually recently, last year.
Great.
Yeah. And it was different, I would say, than the first time I interviewed, because I think the market 2 years ago was a little bit more, especially here, it was a little bit more hot, let's say. There were more opportunities. Now there are still opportunities, but I think it's you need to be a bit more careful on some things. But I did a couple, actually. I think I did like I don't remember anymore, but I did a lot. Like, yeah, I remember like waking up at early mornings, because if you interview for Europe, it's 5 hours ahead, right? So it's a little bit tricky to do the interviews as well. So yeah, but I didn't do much compared to how much I did now, like to change jobs. I think I did like I don't know, a month or two doing interviews, and then I got the offer. I was not expecting, like, and I got 3 at that time, and I was like, what? And now I did again, and it was a little bit more difficult. But it's because I was looking for opportunities here at this moment, like on Spain itself. But if you are moving, just like thinking of moving to abroad, and you don't have a country specifically, you have like a bigger pool of opportunities, to like more companies you can apply for and look for. So it's probably don't take much time. I mean, of course, depends. I think everyone is everyone, you need to learn while doing the interviews. Like, you're gonna fail something, and then you need to like have a critical thinking, like what I did wrong here, And sometimes it's not something wrong as well. Sometimes it's lucky, You need to just the guy that interviewed you, he was not happy. Something happened the day before, and he decided to move forward with you. But you need to persist, keep trying, and yeah.
So just before Daniel asks this question, you said you got a couple of interviews, and I mean, I imagine it wasn't a couple, like literally 2. Do you have like an average, like 10?
I think I did 20 or something.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly. It's like but I would guess like 20. But don't get biased by numbers, guys. As I'm saying, like it depends on like on your profile and everything, and also the market, right? Like I would say if you do interview now, I would expect a little bit more. So yeah.
All
right. Leonardo was scared by your answers, like, oh no.
Yeah, so
no, I did just 3 interviews.
yeah, so
Yeah,
I'm a person
17 to
that
go.
I believe that I'm the person that I like to interview a lot, So you're gonna meet some people that they will interview like 2 companies, 3 companies, but I think you need to essentially, if you are looking for getting a good opportunity and like a company that's going to sponsor you and etc., you need to be prepared to like interview a good amount, and you're going to receive a lot of no, because you are interviewing with a lot of people. Like, there is literally people from the country like there that they will have less cost, so you need to show that you are good, so like hey, why I'm gonna bring this guy, why I'm gonna pay this visa for him if I can find the same profile here. So you need to yeah, but depends. I mean, there are people probably that can get an offer with 2 and 3, I don't. So
See. Daniel?
I have 2 questions, and the first one is if you could share with us about your salary range when you accepted the first job, because I already did like 30 interviews, and in the beginning I was with that thing in my mind that like in the social media apps they shared a lot that oh, it's too easy, got a international job, everyone that is a senior engineer and don't got it yet is losing money and things like that. But when I started applying, I just noticed that it was a bit more harder than I was thinking. And also the salary range that I was asking for was not compatible because like before pandemic, the salaries just keep growing and everyone just start working remotely, and we had a huge salary range. And right now it's not the same. Like I started asking for $6K month, and no one accepted my what I was asking for, even as a staff engineer or senior engineer. And I would like to understand what was your range when you got hired.
Mm-hmm. Good question. Daniel, are you saying 6,000 for working as a contractor, like from Brazil, or for some company, like for some country specifically?
Outside of Brazil, like it always
As
depends,
a
but
contractor,
yeah, as
living
a
in
contractor.
Brazil, earning 6,000, right?
No. Earning $6,000, living in
Yeah.
Brazil, working abroad, working for another company.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, that's a very good topic. To move abroad, usually the companies will try to. So when I moved, my salary was way below than I am now, and I think from the people I know that live here, that are my friends and etc. It's kind of the same, you know. So if you are, I'm talking about sponsoring. So if you are moving out from Brazil, it depends. It's a bit different. So usually starts low. So you need to be a bit, you need to be aware of that, because the company, for them, you are kind of a risk, you know. They are bringing someone outside. They're gonna pay the visa for you. They're gonna pay the lawyer, you know, like so it's a bit expensive, let's say. But for the company, this is nothing. But I'm just trying to pass the message. Uh, so they usually go lower, you know. So you can try to push the salary to a better range, but usually I would say I recommend to you to take this into consideration, that at the beginning is going to be low, and then when you are here on the country, you are perceived with a lower risk to the companies, so you can demand like a better salary. When I moved, and also the salary depends on the country. So if you're planning to move abroad, it's going to depend a lot. So you need to be very aware about what salary to ask depending on the country. And I always do a research, right, of the cost of living and everything, so you don't go like receiving peanuts. Don't do that, because Brazil is really good, you know. Like, and talking about remotes, I think this depends a lot as well. I don't know how is the market now because of the layoffs and stuff. My impression is that Brazil is on a very good market now, because the companies are moving out from US, so kind of. So they are opening offices on India, and they are trying to hire South America. I think South America is still kind of a bit difficult, because we tend to not speak, let's say, English, kind of. So people don't know that there are a lot of developers there. Why we don't hire them from South America is on the same time zone. Why we are hiring, let's say, India or Philippines, or it's like on the same price range, you know. But I think 6,000 is good. What I mean, talking about 2 years ago, I think like for senior, I saw between 4,000 to 6,000 to work as a contractor, like dollar. Of course, that's kind of the average. So you might get some offers a bit below. You might get some offers to get higher as well. But usually the companies will try to pay you not the same range as they would pay for someone, especially now on the city. You can try demand that, but I think it depends a lot on your skills. You know, if you are someone with a very specific knowledge, let's say, you code on Ethereum, or you have something very specific that the company they build something on Ethereum. They are very niche, you might demand that, you know. But usually the companies will try to pay you below what they pay there, and depends on the experience. And if you are trying to move abroad, it depends on the country as well. Each country has a range, you know. But my salary was way lower when I moved than my salary now, let's say.
Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense. And the other question is, do you think if I am open to relocate, I will have more chances than just trying to get a remote job? Because I am in a position right now that I can't go abroad for at least 2 years. And I declined a lot of offers that I received just because I need to relocate and I don't want it now.
That's a very good point. So I'm not 100% sure about that, but my impression is that it's easier to move abroad, actually, than getting a contract working from Brazil. Although it's a bit tricky because if you think about the amount of opportunities you have is bigger working as a contractor. There are a lot of companies. But I believe that is you have a bigger competition, you know, like usually. Because there are a lot of people applying like to work remote. Like remote, anyone can apply as a contractor, you know. So it has a higher competition. However, if you have someone to, if you know people, you know, like you have a good network, you can, I think it's a way for you to also get into contractor, you know, like being able to get referral to work on some startup and etc. Yeah, on my personal opinion, I think it's easier to move abroad than getting a contractor job. But I think it's totally possible, you know, like I know a couple of people that have, I don't know, at least 5 friends that they work from Brazil, actually.
So I have a question. You mentioned about the market changes. Maybe Marcus could give us also insight on this. And you applied for this job. It was like 2 years ago or so, right?
2021, it's gonna be 3 years, actually.
3, right? So what do you feel changed? Because you already applied for a second job. So in these 2 events of applying for this first job back when you're in Brazil, and then now applying for this follow-up job, what do you feel changed in the market between these 2 events?
Yeah, this is a very good question. So Marcos probably know it very well, but I think it's like it's a lot of things. Like US, the interest rates went high, right? So essentially there is no more money like for startups to flow in, you know, like now you have a rate to pay. So it's a bit more difficult for companies to get money so they can invest and grow. So I would say right now it's difficult because of that. Like there are a lot of companies that they are stopping, let's say, to hire, or at least they hire, but the technical bar is higher. So the English, I would say the English is the same, you know, like the bar is not higher, but the technical bar is a little bit higher than it was before. So you need to stand out a little bit more so you can get something, because there are a lot of people, you know, like getting laid off or looking like people that has experience, you know, that you're gonna compete with. It's not impossible. It's just that it's gonna be difficult, and you need to be prepared to receive no's, you know. And essentially, it's gonna be things that was not because of you. It's just because someone was better than you, you know, and they're gonna reject you. So yes, but I think this changed, guys. I think last year was worse. I think now it's getting a little bit better, but I'm not so sure. I think we are still kind of on a troublesome time, let's say, a little bit more difficult. Yeah.
I talk about that like all the time. I have the exact same perception as you. Like, because in the thing is, like, if you go on Instagram nowadays, everyone, you have a bunch of videos of people back in 2020, 2021 promising that the reason why there was so much hiring was because of their scarcity of developers. And that's very easily to fix. And it kind of happened. But the thing was, like you said, was that money was cheap at that time. Like the interest rate was very low in the US. So you had a bunch of venture capitalists willing to just throw money at the problem and hire as much as developers as they could. And then we had the moment right after the pandemic where we came back, but the economy is low and the interest rates are high again. And now they have to hold, not only as a like in developers, they have to hold on everything that costs a lot. And because developers make such a high amount of money, they are going to be like the first thing that they're going to look to try to see to make more efficient moves. And I have this exact same perception as well, that like was a boom and then like kind of halted and then it's kind of like going to the plateau now.
Yes, the COVID times also helps because there were a lot of money going on in COVID, right? So now we are kind of companies are like, let's say the investors are, hey, where's the results? Where's all the money I give
I
to
give
you?
you a lot of money. Now
And
where's my
why
product?
is it still the same? Exactly. So it's a bit difficult. But I think it's still a very good market. So it's just not the bar is higher. So you need to be prepared, to receive more no's and also to be like study a little bit more on
Exactly. You need to prepare yourself. And I truly believe, like, if you go to, because you can see the disconnection. Like, if I go to a bar and I talk to someone that's like a constructor worker about the salaries in like tech with him, that would be something like completely out of his reality. And for us, like, no, nowadays it's like low because people are offering like $3,000 and stuff. And like for him, like that's 1% of the country. So I think it's still an amazing market, but the problem is like the bar is higher now because of the interest rates that went up, and that the investors became more aware of like how tech works, not just throwing money at a microservices that's gonna make it better.
yeah, move from monolith to microservices. Let's like migrate everything and it's gonna be better. And then they find
Magically,
out
it's
that
gonna
was
be better.
that was not the problem. And
That was
he's
not a problem at all.
the company still don't have money, so why? Yeah.
Indeed.
So that was happening, guys. I mean, there are some companies surviving, I would say, and some companies growing. I think it depends a lot. I don't know on the market as well. Like, um, yeah, for instance, if you try on Germany or Spain, let's say, it's gonna be a bit more difficult, I think, right now than I don't know if you try to get a contractor job, maybe. So what I just said about maybe moving abroad would be easier. Maybe it's not true right now because of the market. So this is something you need to be aware, and I think you're gonna just find out trying. So you need to try, you need to apply, you need to fail. So then you're gonna realize how things are going.
Yeah. Tell me about the family decisions, because I remember you moved with your girlfriend, right? How did she
Yeah,
adapt to change? Did she get a job there?
she's my wife now, actually.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
congratulations. I didn't know
yeah.
that.
So I moved with my wife. I mean, we were girlfriends,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the relationship, but we decided to marry a bit before. We were already planning to marry, but we just kind of did like sooner so we could go together. So if you're planning to move abroad, it's easier. I mean, if you want to bring your girlfriend or something, it's easier if you are married, let's say. Um, and it's fine. I mean, that's a decision you need to to take into consideration. So moving abroad is not a small decision, actually,
Mhm.
because there is a lot of things you need to know. Like your family, how you're gonna feel. If you're gonna miss that, or and this kind of things. And if you move with someone like children or some partner like wife, husband, whatever, you need to take this into consideration. I mean, therefore, you need to think about also the place you go. So, for instance, if you go to Norway, the cultural shock is going to be way bigger than you go
Mhm.
to Spain, let's say, or you go to Portugal. So, and you're going to feel that, and the people with you is going to feel as well, your children, your relatives, whatever. And you need to take this into consideration. I think Spain is very good in this sense because we are all Latin Americans, you know.
Mm.
We are very Latino. You're just gonna find out
Yeah.
that you are very Latino when you go out of Brazil. that you are part
Yes,
of the
this is
Latino
crazy.
group.
This is
Yeah, we
crazy.
are Latino.
I didn't
You
know I
know
was a
that
Latino
now,
until I
right,
left
Gus?
Brazil. Yeah. Now I know I'm Latino because
Yeah.
Learned that in the US because
Mm.
I was telling a friend of mine that in Brazil people tell that I am white, and she was like, "No, you're a Latino.
Yeah.
You're not white."
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
US is a bit extreme because for them everyone is a Mexican, you know, like
Everyone just jumped to the border.
yeah, it's Mexican. You are all Mexicans. Like what the fuck? But I mean, you feel on the culture, you know, like we share the same culture actually, like Spain, Portugal, all the South America countries. So, and you realize how we share when you see different cultures, you know, when you see someone from Germany, you see someone from Norway, or someone from Czech Republic, whatever, they are very
Mhm.
different, you know,
Yes.
and that's good, but it also on the adaptation, it's important to take into consideration.
Hmm. Yeah. By the way, Buenos Aires is a great place to practice English. If you guys want to do like an exchange, you should come here because there's people from everywhere in the world. It's a cosmopolitan place. So you do have this perspective as well of culture of and where you are placed within this the geographical and cultural game, I would say. And you start seeing yourself as part of a community, like, oh, I meet Venezuelans and Colombians and Peruvians and Chileans, and like, oh, I'm one of them in this continent. You know, it's nice. And also get people from all over the world, and you get to practice English with them too. And there are groups in which they only speak English, and like it doesn't have to be oh, let's go practice English. It's like there's lots of groups and they do stuff. Oh, let's play board games, let's play volleyball, let's live life. And then you interact in English in those places. It's just naturally because almost everything here is, at least in my perspective, and because I am an immigrant, right? I'm an outsider, is kind of a mixed culture thing. Final question, if no one else has one, let's start wrapping up. So you got actually your job in which you had to move to Barcelona, and I was actually watching a video about scarcity of remote jobs and this movement of companies wanting people to go back to the office. Do you feel this is the case? Do you guys feel in general that there's less remote job offers available? Lucas first, and then you guys can share your.
Okay. I would say yes, for sure, because a lot of companies were fully remote back then on COVID because everyone had to, right? But there are a lot of companies that realize the remote works and they remain remote. The company I work for right now, although they sponsored my visa and everything, it's fully remote. So there are a lot of companies that are still fully remote and they are not willing to move to hybrid or whatever. So I would say there is still opportunities. It's just that it's a little bit more there. It's smaller, you know, the amount of opportunities you're gonna have for fully remote. Yeah, especially here, there's a movement going on of these companies that like were full in person and now they are remote. They went to remote because of COVID. Here on Barcelona, they are having like, hey, you need to come 1 day a week on the office or whatever. So they are requiring. Some other companies do kind of require, but if you don't live on the city, like the old company I worked for, they required, but there were a lot of people remote. So it was still kind of but this also plays well if the company is sponsoring you, because it's one more reason for them to sponsor you to come to the country than, let's say, hiring a contractor, you know, because they have an operation that requires, let's say, someone in the office. And there are a lot of companies like that, you know, that will want to sponsor you because they do like in person sometime, and they require someone to be there at least a day in a month or something. So
Amazing. And do you do that in your current company? Do you have to go to the office?
no, but we do offsites. So the company has this policy of bringing everyone together from time to time, and yeah, so in things like depends. We're gonna travel now in next month to Mexico, and they're gonna bring all the company to Mexico. But
Oh,
that's
wow.
it, Yeah, and
Cool.
that's it. I don't need to go to the office, and I'm very happy with it. I hate to be on the office, but that's me.
Daniel has a question and a request. And while I mean, it's not a question. Yeah. I mean, he's just commenting that 2 years ago he received offers from 6K to 10K, and now it's between 3.5K to 5K, right? So not only did the market change when it comes to maybe scarcity of remote jobs, but also the salaries might have changed a bit as well. And Lucas, guys, is sharing his LinkedIn here on the chat. I'm going to post again to everyone. So feel free to link and connect to him. And if you have any more questions, just let him know.
Actually, just a comment. Believe it or not, I've been doing some interviews with Portugal companies, and I've been struggling a lot to understand the Portuguese from Portugal. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
We have to start a Giga group just speaking.
Just for the Portuguese of
Portuguese,
Portugal.
Portuguese.
Yeah, great idea.
That's true.
Next interview, we'll have Anselmo talking with Portuguese accent for you. Oh, sorry, Lucas, go ahead.
No, sorry, I interrupted you. But I did some interviews with Portugal at that time. And yeah, I remember there was a guy speaking Portuguese with me, and I told him, no, speak English because I can't understand you at all.
So
that
I'm
is
not
a-
the only one.
Yeah, I can't. There is a special accent on north of Portugal that is way harder, I would say. It's different,
Very just eat the vowels like consonants. This is it. This is what I speak. All right, guys. So we can wrap up for today. Great participation of Lucas here. You're always open to us to answering questions. Thanks a lot. Let's take a picture. Have this standard gesture that we make. 1, 2, 3, and yay. Lucas went with his own. Thanks a lot, everyone. Go follow him. Did you click the link? I'm gonna end the call, and if you don't click his LinkedIn link, it's gonna get lost.
Yeah,
I can also
guys,
share
if
this.
someone wants to ask any question, send me through LinkedIn, and then I can help as well. Anything, just let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's close it for today. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, guys, and I see you guys on Monday.